Phillip Island, Australia. You're talking penguins, seals, cows, and a goat. It's done it again, everybody. It delivers every single time. Now, I say that. There was a period of about 6 years there where Casey Stoner just ran away at the front and we didn't really get much action. But it still always delivers. It is the best circuit in the world. And boy, did it give the people what they wanted this weekend. Other than, of course, a full Sunday on-track action. But other than that, when we did get bikes on the track, oh boy. And let's start on Saturday, where we saw it. We finally got it. Johann Zarco has won a Grand Prix in MotoGP. And then, of course, we finally got the flip.
Do a flip!
So, yeah, not many people out there are going to be that unhappy with that result, I wouldn't have thought. Very popular rider, popular guy. The manner in which this was won just made it all the more dramatic and entertaining. Wasn't it just absolutely brilliant? So let's talk about it. The story of the race. What happened? Martín, looking clearly like the quickest guy for the weekend, qualifies on pole, sticks a soft rear on. The idea here, and we heard from Casey Stoner if you're watching on TNT, sort of said this could be a good decision if you play it right, get yourself a gap, but you can still look after the tyre and then look to just ease your way into the end of the race there as people start to come back to you a little bit. But the decision here from him, when he clearly had that kind of pace to probably go on and compete for the win on the medium tyre, it just seemed a strange decision that he'd think to himself, no, I really need to make this call here so that I can get myself this advantage. When you probably do kind of almost back in that he probably, like I said, was quick enough to compete for the win on balance if everyone was on the same tyres. He's made the risky call. As a guy chasing in the World Championship, I don't always mind that. The Championship leader usually has to go a bit safer, right? But it did seem a strange decision in the sense that, I mean, I appreciate the fact, like I said, that he's taking the risk, but it does seem an odd decision when you'd think on balance of play, he probably was quick enough to win the race anyway. Maybe he was just trying to make it like, I don't want to be in a scrap for a win. I just want to clear out and win it comfortably on my own at the front. And then the tide begins to turn as his tyre drops off, and you could see it. He was sliding over Lukey Heights. He's sliding through Stoner Corner. He's just having to sit the bike up or try and get the bike upright as much as he could. And it just didn't last for him. And then chasing group led by Fabio Di Gianantonio for most of the time. Binder had a turn at the front there as well. Zarco came back to this group, tagged onto the back of Pecco, went through them. And as the race reached its crescendo, Johann Zarco goes to the front of that group. And on the last lap, when they're only chasing down a second lead and he's going probably 2 seconds a lap slower than them, we get the move from Johann Zarco. When he did go and try and fire it up the inside there, because he did it to Binder, I believe, to get himself into second. And I was like, geez, he's almost rushed that a little bit. He's got the pace. He's got the time to spare. He can probably wait till he gets through the hay shed here and over Lukey and try and pull this one into turn 10 instead of doing it from that far back and block passing and stuff like that, taking a bit of a risk. But it was the right decision because he got himself to the front quick enough that then he could lead the charge to Martín. And then as soon as he got to Martín, there was no waiting around. You know, again, I did think maybe, was it worth him maybe not having to come from that far back and risk a big lunge? But it was the right decision because it got him out ahead and then no one could rebuttal from there. Well, that was it. The rash and decisiveness of the overtakes and when he made them was the key, I think. Not just for catching Martín, which it seemed like obviously was going to do anyway, but to distance himself from the chasing pack. And man, what a ride and brilliant. Just, you love to see it. And you do also love to see the performances here. Digi getting himself on the podium when it looks likely that he probably will miss out on a seat next year. And I'd probably say on balance of play, that probably is fair enough. But I also I wouldn't be annoyed if he did get another ride for next year. I mean, it just is what it is. He's both probably good enough and not good enough, if that makes sense. Pecco was crossed the line as if he'd won it, fist pumping, and you would do, because when Martín was clearing off, I don't know if maybe they were pretty relaxed about it, knowing that tyre, he was going to struggle later on. It certainly did look at one point like they weren't going to be able to chase him down. And I feel like, once again, like last week, he's crossed the line and he's celebrating. And I just feel like there's more relief there than anything else. There must be. That must be what it is. Because that's 2 weeks in a row now where the race and the championship lead has potentially been within Martín's grasp and in his hands. And that's twice now. And I won't say he's thrown it away, but Yeah, he's kind of thrown it away, hasn't he? But yeah, obviously we then did not get our sprint race on Sunday, which is fine. Like it's still a full Grand Prix weekend when you think about it. We had a shortened Moto2 race, but other than that, we did get what would in previous seasons be a full Grand Prix weekend with 3 Grand Prix. And yeah, man, just like Phillip Island can exhaust you just watching it. And fair play to all the fans that got out there, especially on Sunday. The people who still turned up, like honestly, well done. It's one of the worst places in the world to be stood, especially on that Bass Strait side or down near Turn 1 or the main or the end of the main straight there, or up at Siberia, can be just absolutely horrendous when the weather's like that and when it's wet, because it doesn't just rain in Phillip Island. When it rains, the wind picks up off the ocean and it comes in sideways and it batters you, and it is freezing when you're wet and the wind is that fast and cold. It is freezing. And look, I've been out in it before and had to like make the trip over to the tourist like info center that they've got there, and just like to just dry your jeans off and stuff. Just like, oh man, it is horrible. So fair play to everyone that got out there and endured, and you know, well done. It is a hard old day at Phillip Island when it's like that. Well, and the race itself, I mean, again, when you say Phillip Island delivers at the front. There's good scraps all through the field. Good scrap in that Miller, Espargaro group. Bez was in there, you know, mixing it up. Was a really good scrap in there as well. So another just great race. Good Saturday of action. And if you decide to go Saturday instead of Sunday, you've won the weekend, really, haven't you? So anyway, on to Moto2. Race shortened, called off. I think, how far did we get? I don't even remember now. Maybe halfway. So we did get awarded half points in the end because we didn't restart. Arbolino was stoked because he's gone down as another Grand Prix win here, and he was happy with that. But really what he actually needed was for the race to restart, and he needed to win the race, and he needed Acosta not to make up any more positions from where he was, which finished 9th, so as to bring that points gap down a little bit more. But he didn't look too disappointed, to be honest. He was actually absolutely stoked with it. So, I mean, would you rather have the Grand Prix win? Maybe he's thinking, I'm not catching Pedro anyway, so I may as well make sure I've got this Grand Prix win. But he was out by 14, 15 seconds or something stupid like that. Refreshing again to hear Casey Stoner on commentary saying that he and Mick Doohan were talking, being like, why did they cut that race short? I agree. Your job is to ride in all different conditions as long as it's not dangerous. I guess they considered it dangerous with the wind more than the rain. But at that point, obviously Casey Stoner and that up on the podium handing out the awards felt like it wasn't windy enough to stop. You ride around the conditions. And the fact that Arbolino was going as quick as he was probably tells you that it probably was okay to ride on. Otherwise, how was he doing that? You know? But there were a lot of guys going down, and I think that always influences decision, and discretion maybe being the better part of valor there. Why take the risk, I suppose, if you don't have to, if your race direction? Yeah, you could probably see it both ways. I like to see the boys race, though. We had Canet second, obviously. Aldeguer, nice finish in third there for him. Garcia led early, and I was excited for the boy, but he's crashed through, I believe it was through the hay shed, flicked him off fast through there, and it is one of those sort of the circuit dips, and it can be difficult. It's a difficult section of racetrack. It's a difficult corner, trying to keep speed up through there for these guys. So unlucky for him, crashing out of the lead. I don't think he's winning that anyway with how quick Arbolino was going, but maybe he was doing that as well, possibly. And that's, again, Moto2 is what it is. It's that championship this year where it's just like, okay, cool. It was a race. Someone won it. It's done. Pedro wins the championship. We know. Oh, and by the way, Pedro starting last in that one ended up coming up to 9th because of a crash in the sighting lap. I lost count throughout the evening here of how many guys crashed on the sighting lap across Moto3 and Moto2. And let's move on to Moto3 now. Olgado and Diogo Moreira both crashed on their sighting lap. Moreira specifically taking himself to the medical center citing dizziness and allowed to race. The Olgado one, after watching the crash back, I mean, he had a cut on his face, so whether any kind of contact to the head or face warrants a concussion check, I don't know. From the crash itself, when I've watched it back this morning, it didn't look like he hit his head really at all. It's like the bike kind of went into his face a little bit, and it's cut him. Something's cut him, whether his visor or whatever going back into his face or something like that, his helmet going into his face, but it didn't look like he actually hit his head very hard. But the Moreira one, if a rider's come in saying I'm dizzy, it's a bit different. It's something that I would like to explore in a video upcoming, but it probably won't be till the off season, really, with how quick and thick and fast the races are coming and the amount of time I'll have to actually put together a video on that. But it's interesting. My first instinct on Holgado was surely he has been cleared to race there, because he didn't look that bad. Maybe they did do I don't know what the concussion check is in MotoGP. This is the problem. I don't know what it is. Is it up to standard of other sports? Did he get a concussion check? I don't know what it is. I don't know how long it takes. That's what I want to look into. And I probably will at the end of the season. But on the race itself, because that's what we're here for, again, Moto3 was very good. It always is very good. This maybe not in the same way that your usual dry races can be. We get the big league groups and that. So we did have a breakaway of, well, it was 4 riders. Someone went down somewhere. Am I remembering this right? Oh yeah, out of nowhere we had Adrian Fernandez clearing out at the front, who did crash and then remounted to finish 5th, I think it was in the end. So, well done. Pretty much a stand-in rider. I think he's in for the rest of the season now though, since all the drama that's happened there. If you don't know, Leopard team has asked Suzuki to step aside so that Adrian Fernandez can get on the bike for a couple of races to just get him up to speed for when he takes his place for next season. And I think, in my opinion, rightfully so, Suzuki's just gone, well, no, if you're going to do that, I'm just out of here. That's not how this works. He's a contracted rider. He rides the bike. You're not there to be subbed in and out. It's not a football game, So, so I think Adrian Fernandez will be on the bike for the rest of the season now as well. Bit of Moto3 rider drama there for you. But yeah, a lot of different names mixing it up there. And we did have a classic finish, and classic in the sense that Sasaki's come second, being passed, and I believe it's like into turn 10 or through the final section there. Dennis Onchu, really nice win for him again. He's shown once again that he's shaping up well for next season, heading into Moto2 for him. Masia holds his championship lead after just doing enough. He's 4 points ahead now of Sasaki, and Sasaki getting passed at the end of the race by Onchu was he would have been in lead of the championship, obviously, there, if he had stayed in the lead. But Onchu just doing a little bit of a favour there to Jaume Masia. And it really is looking like a 2-horse race now. Olgado looks to be losing touch now, especially after, like I mentioned, his crash in the siding lap, which means he started at the back or in the pit lane, possibly, or just at the back of the grid, and only recovered to 13th or something. So only picked up a few points, I think, there. So that's pretty much you're giving up a lot with not a lot of races to go there for him. So that's it. Weekend run and done. I'm not as chirpy as usual. Bit ropey after last night staying up, and I did have a few beers. I was at the pub watching the footy. A few beers there. Got home. Bit of whiskey. Watching the bikes. It was a long evening, and I woke up with a bit of a headache today. So that's why I've not gone on quite as long or as high-spirited as I usually would do. But thanks for coming along, and we will see you after the Thai Grand Prix next weekend. I just love Philippines. It was such a good weekend. I really enjoyed it. Getting up early, 5 a.m. alarm for the Saturday stuff, and then staying up last night nice and late, 3 a.m. I was up till before that race got called. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.